Right, good evening, everyone. Tony Gonzalez calling together the planning board meeting for June 3rd, 2025. I'm going to start with a roll call. Okay. I see James.
Here.
All right. Yolando.
Here.
Matt.
Here.
Marty.
Is she Marty?
She's muted.
Yes, but she's muted.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marty. Tony Gonzalez present. We have a very large agenda this evening. Just take a look. I know, Evan, you texted me that someone just added a continuance. What street was that?
34 Sumner requested to continue.
Okay. All right. So just a quick review of the agenda. We have a lot release, Mia Meadows. We have a request of surety, 973 Crescent Street. We have a Montello land use presentation. We have Sumner Street, which will be voted on for continuance. Definitive subdivision, 737 Warren Avenue. Definitive subdivision, 22 Gladstone Street. Return to ZBA, again, 22 Gladstone Street. 438 Ash Street is a site plan review. We have 135 Elliott Street site plan review, 117 North Main Street site plan review, and then we have Howard Street, which is Greater Brockton Sports Complex, which is also going to be a vote for continuance. I'm going to ask that all the applicants, and I'll remind each one before they speak to please, especially if we've heard your plan or presentation before, just highlight, do a high overview as we have a large agenda and be respectful of time. We're going to start with acceptance of last month's meeting minutes, please.
Motion to accept May minutes.
Second.
Okay, roll call. James?
Yes.
Yolando?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Tony? Yes. Okay, and then Evan, lot release?
Yeah, we have some lots to be released over at Mia Meadows. That's Debbie Road in Austin Court off of North Quincy Street. They have got the binder coat down, the utilities in. They've been inspected by DPW. They're requesting the release of lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 18. And 2 more, lots 6 and 7 will still be held back. So everything to release those lots that I listed off is good.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to release lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 18.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Matt?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Yolando?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Tony? Yes. Okay, next request of surety, 973 Crescent Street. I understand there's some details to this one that we need to hear from the applicant on. Who is
Yes. I'm going to move some over. It doesn't seem I can move over. Well, a zoo will be presenting for them, but I can't seem to move him over. So Rob, are you still there? Or Isaiah? Can someone grab him, please?
I'm trying.
My bad. Hang on. Azu, where are you? Raise your hand, would you please? There, I see you. Moving you. Promote to panelist.
okay? Good evening, Azu. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can now, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Good. How are you? Please give us a brief details on the surety issue.
Okay, this was a subdivision, a definitive subdivision that was approved, gosh, probably 4 or 5 years now. If need be, Madam Chair, I will share my screen
No need,
Well,
just give us the details.
Yeah, so basically, it's a two-lot definitive subdivision with a frontage waiver. It's one of those, you typically, as you will see in other subdivisions that you're probably hearing tonight, a lot of times you create a roadway. That is the essence of a subdivision. You create a roadway to provide frontage to house lots. In this particular case, it's an existing public way, which is Crescent Street. And so because it had two lots that we had, didn't have the requisite frontage, but they had the square footage. And so we filed with the Board of Appeals, got a variance on the frontage. Therefore, we came before the planning board for a definitive subdivision with frontage waiver, and that was granted. And basically, because we're not creating a road, but we still have to tie into the utilities and install some bounds, if you will, back when it was approved. Our late compatriot, Howard Newton, had recommended that monuments be installed, two concrete bounds at the two frontages and the one in the middle, and that was done. The houses have been built, the road was paved, the full width as required, and we inspected the work. The C inspected the work through this DPW, and so we are looking to clean up the file and ask that the board release the bond. Haven't completed the work that was approved by this board.
Okay, so are the details accurate, Evan or Rob, if you know that the builder or applicant followed what was approved? And
Yeah,
it
so
respected-
basically, so Madam Chair, basically to my understanding is that the developer built to the specifications that they were supposed to, sold the property, and then the buyers then altered things. Had they requested the surety beforehand, this wouldn't have been an issue. It's just kind of a timeline thing. But I believe that Azu represented it accurately.
Okay. Thank you, Azu. And is this in the building department's hand now, in regards to the buyer violating what was approved for that property? And how can we make sure of that?
Well, the building
Sorry,
department
that's-
already,
That's more for Evan or Rob.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, that would basically be a zoning violation or some kind of enforcement issue that the building department would have to take care of.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a vote on that, but maybe following this meeting, we need to make sure that the proper steps are followed up with the building department so this buyer can undo or redo or correct whatever they did that's out of line. Is there a motion? Is there a motion to release the surety?
I'll motion to release surety of 973 Crescent Street.
Thank you.
Second.
Second that.
All right, roll call. Marty,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Yolando,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Tony, yes. Thank you, Zul. Have a good night.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, board members. Have a good night now.
Madam Chair, I'd like to motion to take item number 9 and push it to the top of the agenda, just because there will be a crowd for this one. It might have the meeting go a bit smoother and drop a few more people off.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great idea. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Marty,
Yes.
Yolando,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we're gonna move Howard Street up first. Is the representative ready? And can you see, Evan, what type of attendance you have from the public? And this isn't open for public because this is actually on the agenda for continuance. So we're not going to hear from the public. I'm just curious to hear the number of public that are in the audience.
So, Madam Chair, I believe Attorney Burke is here representing them. Would you like me to move him over so he can speak, or?
Yeah, he's moved over, but is there, can you tell? Actually, I don't know what you see. Can you see if there's anyone here from the public?
I'd say, I don't know for sure, but I'd say probably at least half the attendees here are interested in this item.
Which is what type of number?
We have 22 attendees right now.
Okay. Good evening, Attorney Burke. If you could just please take 2 minutes to give us an overview, because this is on the agenda for continuance.
I do know you have a very lengthy schedule, and we're going to try to be as accommodating as we can. I'm Attorney Jim Burke, and I have the pleasure of representing the Boston Legacy Football Club, and they are going to make Brockton their home. And that's the most exciting thing that's happened in Brockton in a very long time. I'm going to briefly give you Bill Kavorian, and Bill is with the Able Group, who is developing the property. And we will give you a basic overview of the project with a very, very basic outline of the design and the engineering, and we will leave the rest for another day. But if you could recognize Bill Caravori, we would be appreciative, Rob.
Sorry, who?
Bill Caravori.
I see him.
Able.
I'm looking for Bill now, but I have
got him.
moved John up. But I'm looking for Bill. Bill,
I got him, Rob.
We got him.
I just want everyone to understand that it will be heard in full in July, so that's why I'm just asking for bullets, no story, just quick bullets, details. We'll hear the full story in July. So is Bill moved over?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. I am not going to spend very much time. I really am only here to, I hope I'm not giving the full presentation. I'm really here to just say thank you very much. And on behalf of the team, yes, we're very excited for the opportunity to come to Brockton to bring, and what we want to bring is our team headquarters, which means the corporate offices as well as the team facilities and practice facilities, so that this is where we'll play games in stadiums across the country, but we'll be training and practicing and coming to work on a day-to-day basis here in Brockton on Howard Street. And we're very excited about that. And we also intend to provide additional fields as part of this, which we want to turn into the premier youth soccer location, youth soccer hub, one of the premier ones in New England,
Wow.
which will become where we will do offer summer camps, leagues, tournaments, national level tournaments with, where the best of youth soccer will come and play over the course of the year. And we'd like to have that happen in Brockton. And we think so far Brockton has been just amazingly welcoming to us and our organization as we have pursued this, and we are very thankful for that. And it gives us it makes us very glad to know that we made a right choice in coming to Brockton. And we're very pleased, and we hope that this can be a great, we hope that we are great neighbors and a good business partner to the community and to the city of Brockton. And that's our goal.
Absolutely. Thank you. I see all positives from what I've heard so far. So thank you for wanting to come to the Brockton.
We're very happy, and that's really all I can say. So somebody else needs to pick up where I'm leaving off.
Well, if you can, Mr. May, recognize Kevin Grady very briefly so that they can at least see the footprint.
Yeah.
I prefer to save that for next month's meeting because we have this agenda.
Okay.
And Board members, you all are invited to a virtual tech review for this plan if you want to, view it more closer before the July meeting and have input, but it's all positive from what I've heard.
I can do a very brief presentation and show you a picture for a moment. Seeing's believing, but I'm happy just to,
Okay, go ahead. 2
Yeah.
minutes, please.
you got it.
We had so much time for you last month and the month before. I'm really sorry about
That's
this.
how, that's okay. That's how it goes. Are you able to see my screen here and my cursor?
It's starting. Yep, there it is.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm Kevin Grady from Grady Consulting, along with everybody else. We did prepare for a long presentation, but we'll keep it brief. I know everybody knows this site. It's been a busy location for the last number of years. It is zoned in the C7 Sports and Convention District. It was zoned for this use. It looks like it's all coming together. You're going to get a national sports team to call this venue home. And they have a good team of designers and professionals helping put this thing together. So the site is 36 acres. We've designed it to meet the criteria for approval under the planning board regulations for site plan approval. We've got a 24-foot wide driveway accessing the facility. This building here is going to be the home, the training facility. It's a 15,000 square foot footprint building. Associated with that is a bubble dome for indoor soccer. These first two fields are pro-heated fields. And then these fields to the east are going to be synthetic turf fields available for public use. And we also have a possible soccer academy located here. We've contemplated parking, circulation, lighting, drainage. We've looked at it all, and we're looking forward to get a chance to go over the details with you. I think I'll leave it at that. And if you have questions, I'm happy to take them.
No, just awesome. I mean, this has been needed for a while. My son played soccer. I know a lot of soccer coaches, so I will be making them all aware of this so they can join the July meeting and get as excited as everyone else is about this.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so is there a motion to continue this?
Motion to continue?
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Marty,
Yes.
Rolando,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you.
Welcome to Brockton.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
exciting.
Thanks.
And Madam Chair, if I just can real quick, just for everyone's benefit, this has been continued to July 1st is the meeting this has been continued to.
And we're
Zoom at
adding
6 p.m.
We've added, just so everyone's aware, including the public, we've added a meeting to July. The board normally doesn't meet in July, but we've added a meeting so that not only this applicant can be heard and kept in line with the timeframes, but other folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Montello land use presentation. Who is presenting for this, please?
I'm moving them over. Hold up.
And is this going to require a vote or?
Yes, this is going to be, you're going to be voting to adopt this plan as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I know you have a long agenda. I can either share my screen and show you selected excerpts from the plan, or I can just talk you through it, whichever is your preference.
We'll share your screen, please.
Okay, great. I will do that now. For the record, my name is Emily Ennis. I'm president of Ennis Associates. We are the lead consultant on this team, and I have with me my colleague, Paulo Ramos Martinez, who has been the project manager for this. We're thrilled to give you your first presentation of this. The Montello Neighborhood Plan is a land use plan, and with that, it includes a series of components that will help the community move forward with changes over time to the area. The first is a vision statement. which I will show you now. So the idea is re-envisioning this as a vibrant mixed-use neighborhood that protects the existing smaller scale historic housing, but also looks at strategic places for redevelopment over time. And this includes also some zoning recommendations tied with the form-based code. So what I'm going to give you today is just an outline of how you can read the plan. And then at another time, we're happy to go in more depth and answer questions. So the executive summary talks about the engagement process and the overall vision and implications of the market analysis. We have an in-depth economic and market analysis that feeds into the land use plan. Then we focus on 5 key sites in the area and how over time we can envision one way of them developing. We then showcase the draft form-based code, and then talk about roles and implementation, who is responsible for what. And then there will be 2 appendices, the full market analysis with full-scale graphs and the existing conditions map. The timeline, this started actually about this time last year. June 6th was our first introduction to the steering committee. We have had regular meetings, both citywide workshops for the form-based code overall and neighborhood and steering committee meetings that were specific to the Montello neighborhood. The economic and market analysis looks at the existing economic profile of the Montello neighborhood, housing, jobs, who lives here, who works here, and also then at specific analyses of office, residential, and industrial markets. This feeds into the land use plan. We do showcase the citywide corridor. So Montello here, downtown, and Campello, and how they are linked by not just the rail trails, commuter rail lines rather, but also a series of brooks that could be expanded into a network of green spaces for the Brockton residents. Over time, certainly the recommendations of this plan also speak to that. We then call out the area framework, and this framework looks at pedestrian improvements, environmental improvements, including new green areas and new parks for the neighborhood, and how to rethink our existing water and wetland resources. And this framework is broken down into additional plans that speak to each of these. Key elements are daylighting Trout Brook in what is currently an industrial area, and adding 2 pedestrian-only streets to better allow for safer circulation in an area that we heard from the community is very dangerous for pedestrians and bicyclists. The key sites are shown here in the orange and yellow hashing. Those are the ones that we anticipate are likely to have the most change from future zoning changes. The areas that are just that lighter yellow hashed are where we expect to preserve the existing neighborhood fabric with maybe minimal changes over time. And I'm going to show you the overall view for each of these sites. But if you get a chance to read the plan in depth, or for anybody who may be watching, there are breakdowns of diagrams, plan views, and illustrations of what the conditions could look like for each of these sites. But here what we're talking about is the former Stop and Shop, and what you will see with each of these sites is a reimagining of the types of development that could happen, the green spaces that could be promoted by this level of density, and the increased ability for people to walk in these spaces and enjoy specific gathering spaces that we heard from the community were desired. This is over near the school and shows the ability to preserve the existing school and add on to it as a singular center point for the neighborhood, and also the beginnings of the pedestrianized street that leads directly to the rail station. This is over at the rail station itself, looking at how to reorganize and add on to what is mostly a parking lot now to support existing businesses like Montello's, while providing new residential and retail space. This is the existing industrial area, showing how we can keep a current building and add an innovative space for smaller industrial businesses to incubate prior to moving elsewhere, while creating outside and interior space for people to share ideas and new ways of working. And then finally, this is perhaps a signature piece with the Trout Brook restored, providing a neighborhood amenity for smaller scale housing near the existing housing and higher levels of housing and mixed uses along the rail track. Key to this is approving the components of the Montello form-based code, and we've got a chapter that delves into that. We look forward to talking with you about that in more detail at a later date. And then we've also identified as part of the implementation plan the different people who are involved in making a neighborhood vibrant and active and their roles in each of those. And you'll see with each role comes the actions, responsibilities, timelines, and resources that would help those roles work together. Those roles include residents, property owners, developers, people who work for the city, and people who work for state agencies. And finally, we heard at the last steering committee that people really wanted a set of actions that could address current conditions while zoning came into effect and the infrastructure, moves through the slightly slower process of getting infrastructure done. So we've provided elements or actions that speak to community pride, to the need to beautify and clean up the area. This was expressed by the steering committee members, although we certainly heard some of that from the public. And we also provided funding strategies that could help with some of the larger scale components, but also maybe a few ways of thinking about some of the smaller scales. So with that, that is the basic introduction. We are happy to go into more detail on any of those elements of the plan. But again, knowing that your time was short, we wanted to give you a short guide to how to read the document.
Thank you. A lot of work went into this. It looks good. Questions from the board?
I don't have any questions, but I'm glad to see those steps were added to implement to kind of bridge the gap between where we want to go and where we are now.
We thought it was important, so I'm glad we were able to do that.
Thank you.
Other members?
I don't have any questions, but I have taken a look at the plan so far, and it's all great stuff. I'm excited for what is potentially coming down the road for Montello.
Yeah, all good stuff. All right, is there a motion to adopt this plan?
Motion to adopt the Montello plan.
Second?
Okay, roll call, Marty? Roll call, Marty? Mute button.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Matt?
Yes, and yes.
Yes.
Yolanda?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Tony, yes. Thank you very much, Emily.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, 34 Summer Street has requested a continuance. Is there a motion?
Motion to continue?
Second.
Okay, roll call, Marty?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Yolanda?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right, next we have definitive subdivision, 737 Warren Ave, J.K. Holmgren's, our friend Scott.
All right. Good evening, Madam Chair. Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering. And the first thing I have for you tonight is a definitive subdivision, a typical two-lot subdivision at 737 Warren Ave. I'm going to attempt to share my screen if I may, Madam Chair.
Sure.
All right. So 737 Warren Ave is kind of a large piece of property. Has frontage on Package Way and frontage on Warren Ave, about 30,000 square feet. And, the most peculiar part of this property is there's a zone line that goes right through the middle of the property. The Warren Ave side of the zone line is zone C2. The westerly side of that line is zoned R2 residential. So what we're hoping to do is to divide off a piece of property on the side here, a 60-foot by roughly 120-foot residential lot that'll go to the ZBA shortly for permission to build on this lot, a 7,200 square foot lot to build a two-family home as allowed in the R2 zone. So in doing that, we would cut off the frontage on Packet Way. That would be the frontage and access for the two-family, and we would leave the remainder of the land, about 20,000 square feet, with this frontage on Warren Ave, zone commercial. The property is owned by Velasquez Management. They also own this corner parcel right here and a smaller piece on Myrtle Street. So this remaining Lot B will go with their existing property, just to kind of enlarge what they have going on right now, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Scott. Looks pretty straightforward. Questions from the board? All right, is this open for public?
It is. If anyone from the public would like to comment, just hit the raise your hand icon and we will allow you to speak. And I don't see any hands going up.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Marty,
Yes.
Rolando,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, Scott, you're up again for definitive subdivision, 22 Gladstone Street.
All right, thank you again, Scott Farrier, Holmgren Engineering. 22 Gladstone Street is I'm gonna share my screen again, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry. I believe we needed to, do you need a waiver for Warren Ave?
Warren Ave, we do have a couple of waivers, Madam Chair.
Okay. I think we need to roll back.
Let's roll back to that one.
Yes, please.
So again, back to the Warren Ave, that's the typical waivers that we need. The construction of the streets, sidewalk, utilities, and then the most important one is the waiver of the required frontage. Those two waivers that were submitted along with the subdivision application.
So I see we need Lot A requires a frontage waiver.
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, on the motion, what's the suggested frontage and what's the waiver for what's the relief?
In the R2 zone, the requirement is 100 feet. And we're squeezed in between those two existing lots with 60 feet of frontage, the existing frontage on Packet Way.
Okay, thank you.
And as I said, that'll go to the ZBA in the future to turn that into a building lot.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a motion?
Motion to grant those, was it two waivers you had?
I see one, but are you,
Yeah, motion to approve the frontage waiver.
Second.
all right, roll call. James,
Yes.
Rolando,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right. Thank you.
All right, back to that other one, Madam Chair, 22 Gladstone.
Yes.
If I may share my screen. All right, I'm not going to say anything about going 2 for 2 because there's a long way to go. So I'm not going to get cocky.
Don't get cocky, Scott.
Exactly. So this one's similar to the one we just had on Warren Ave. 22 Gladstone Street is an existing lot with a vacant plot next to it. We're looking to divide the property into two plots. It's a little bit confusing. They're already recognized as two separate plots in the assessors map, but because there wasn't a recent subdivision plan at the Registry of Deeds, the ZBA didn't accept the application. So they wanted us to go back and do a formal modern definitive subdivision plan. So that's what we have before you. to recreate plots 23 and 24. Plot 23 has the existing home on it with 65 feet of frontage. And we would be, again, going to the ZBA in the future for a variance to allow construction on plot 24 with 60 feet of frontage. So again, it's a definitive subdivision plan to divide the property to allow us to get in front of the ZBA.
Okay. I do not have any questions of the board members. Okay, open to the public.
Yes, if any members of the public would like to comment on this case, just use the raise your hand icon and you will be allowed to speak. And no hands.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve with standard conditions.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call, James,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Yolando,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right.
And we would have that same frontage waiver on this one, Madam Chair.
Okay. And as Jim had asked, what is the frontage waiver?
The frontage, this property is zoned R1C, required is 175 feet of frontage in the city. Both of these lots, the first lot, plot 23 with the existing home has 65 feet. The new lot has 60 feet. And again, that would go before the ZBA for a variance to build on those insufficient frontage lots.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve frontage waiver.
Second.
Roll call, James,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Yolando,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Tony, yes. Thank you. Now, is this, are you up, you're up all night, Scott?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. You don't have to.
22 Gladstone Street, this is return to ZBA.
Yeah, so same property. I'm going to leave the plan there. I have Attorney Nazarella, hopefully online waiting to get called up, Madam Chair. But just quickly, this is, as we said, the ZBA had a problem with there not being a current subdivision plan. So the vote you folks just took to create the subdivision plan now leads us to this permission to return to ZBA. So if I could, I leave it at there and wait for Attorney Nazarella? Although I can dance for a while if he's not up.
He should
I
be
wanna see
over.
that.
Yeah, you don't. It's not pretty.
Can anybody hear me?
There
Yes,
you go.
we can.
Good, Bill.
All right. Yeah, just following up on what the eloquent Scott Farrier stated, we're asking permission to return because I believe Scott has very eloquently stated the specific and material changes that are necessary for this particular board to allow it to go back to the board that would ensure that it's been substantial enough changes to allow it to be heard again by the zoning board. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't have questions, but board members?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, open to public.
If anyone would like to comment on this, raise your hand. And nobody would like to comment.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, roll call, James,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Yolando,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you again, folks.
Okay, next site plan review for 438 Ash Street, and we have Scott from JK Holmgren Engineering.
All right, thank you again, Madam Chair. Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering. I have
Said that already.
I know. I don't know how formal I have to be every single time I start again.
Oh, you have to be formal, Scott.
Thank you. I'm gonna call this plan up if I may, Madam Chair.
Of course.
Hopefully it pops up. So, I have before you a site plan for an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit. I'm sure everybody's heard a bunch about them in the last 6 months as part of the governor's housing bylaw, housing initiative that was passed in November. It basically allowed these accessory dwelling units everywhere in the Commonwealth where there's a single-family zone. So as part of your MBTA zoning that the planning board heard of and that the city council approved back in the end of November, the approval for an accessory dwelling unit, instead of just being a typical building permit, the approval falls under site plan review. So these get dumped in your lap. So we went before tech review a couple months ago. This proposal is an existing single-family dwelling at 438 Ash Street. And what they're looking to do is to build an 800 square foot accessory dwelling unit. The maximum allowed is a 900 square foot by statute, so this falls under there. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. We needed to show some parking. They have an existing driveway to the left of the house and then an existing driveway to the right. So we've got 5 parking spaces for the 2 residential units. So we have more than enough parking. They have their own separate entrance and exits exclusive of the main house, and it is attached. You're allowed to either do a detached structure or an attached structure. So in this case, it's an attached structure. Utilities come through the main house, and that's basically it. I think this is the first one that we've got this far with in the city of Brockton. So this is kind of the test case, I suppose.
Wow, another clean one. You're making it very easy on us tonight, Scott.
I hope so.
And no questions for me, other board members?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I could. Scott, my only concern on this one is the intersection of Avon and Camden and Ash and the impact any cars in front of that house has. I'm sure the owner is well aware of that, as well as their neighbors. That intersection has been before the Traffic Commission multiple times, and even again recently. Are we sure the parking is sufficient? Would you suggest a turnaround, maybe knowing this? That is a really nasty intersection. One of our worst.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's everywhere in the city, Mr. Sweet. You know, these small lots, there's just no choice but to back out onto the street, which Ash Street is a pretty well-traveled road. You know, with these lots, there's just really nothing we can do. They've only got 66 feet of frontage. The house is pretty well jammed to the front. I mean, we could certainly propose a little bit of a turnaround area right there, but I mean,
I think if you could propose that and come up with some solution to get more cars off the street, because again, you're adding more square footage. Of course, you're going to add more cars. And I'd rather talk about this in this phase of the game instead of when the accidents come. So I just think it's wise and just out of due diligence that we caution this.
Yeah, as I said, we could certainly, it always becomes a, kind of a juggling act. From our hearings with the ZBA, we hate to pave the entire front yard. Nobody likes that look in a residential neighborhood. So
Right.
The U shape would provide some green space still and functionality. I think
I agree, and we, in looking at it, we could honestly, we're set back 25 feet. That would be enough for a 12-foot driveway and a little bit of landscaping, to your point, Mr. Sweeney, to Ash Street, and a little bit of landscaping to the front step. So yeah, we certainly could do that and kind of push this existing driveway down the lot a little bit more. So these 2 cars would get pushed into the lot, so you'd be able to at least have the opportunity to be pointing out onto Ash Street. We can certainly make that change, Mr. Sweeney.
I think it would be wise. Thank you, Scott.
So, Matt, James, just to clarify, if this is approved, it'd be a condition to add how exactly do you want to word that?
A turnaround U to the front, but make sure we have the green space in there too, because Mr. Farrier is correct. What we see sometimes is they'll come in there and just pave that whole front. A U-shaped turnaround so that you can back in, but however, if you can pull out facing forward, at least in one direction, it will help that dramatically.
Okay. Any other board members, questions, statements?
No.
Okay, open to the public?
If any members of the public would like to comment on this case, please use the raise your hand icon and we will allow you to speak. And I do not see any hands going up.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve with standard conditions.
Second.
Second.
With a condition to add the turnaround
in-
with greenage?
In that stated condition also, Madam Chair, thank you.
Okay. All right, I heard a second. So roll call. James,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Rolando,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right. Thank you. And surprise, surprise, 135 Elliott Street site plan review with J.K. Holmgren Engineering, Scott Faria.
All right, Madam Chair. This is a property that we've had before you folks on a few different occasions. Okay, the property's at 135 Elliott Street. We have a large parcel of land with an existing warehouse. Banner Systems is a janitorial supply company. We've been before you folks for a definitive subdivision plan to divide their front yard essentially into 2 lots. We had site plan approval going back about 4 years ago to construct a 3-unit building right here on this lot, and then another 3-unit building on the lot next door to it. So lots A and B, we're gonna have a total of 6 units with a parking area behind them. We went through, had site plan approval. We went through an extensive process with conservation, received conservation approval, and we ran into a giant roadblock because the gas service that feeds the big warehouse in the back runs right here where my cursor is. And originally, unfortunately, we figured it was no big deal. We can just move the gas service under construction like we move water and sewer all the time. Turns out it's an act of Congress to get the gas company to allow you to move a gas service. So because of that, if we look at this plan, this outline in red was the previous kind of a large building, the large 3-unit building. Because we can't move the gas main, we've shrunk the building. It's still 3 units, but much smaller. It's now off the gas main. Because of that change, we felt like it was best to file what essentially is a modified site plan. The drainage hasn't changed, parking hasn't changed. It's just to show this new building. And also the site plan approval had lapsed at this point. So either way, we needed to have a new filing. So this construction, nothing changes, as I said, same number of units, same number of spaces, just makes a smaller footprint and takes us away from that tricky gas area. I think I was before you folks a few months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, and the only issue we had at that point was the planning department wanted us to have documented all of the easements that were going to be necessary between the 3 lots. As you can see, they all access off of Lot C in the back. So Lot A accesses off of Lot C from Elliott Street. There's sewer that's going through, there's electric, there's city sewer that goes through. So there's a whole series of easements that needed to be created. We've created all those. Attorney McCluskey did all the legal documents for that and sent them to the planning department. So I believe, I really think that was the last issue we had to resolve, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Scott. Board members, questions?
I do have one question, Madam Chair. Just in regards to, I see on Elliott Street, there's lighting mentioned there, but is there anything in regards to like improving the sidewalk conditions? I know Elliott Street, there's a lot of cars that do park on what is basically supposed to be the sidewalk, but and I know sometimes there's even trucks there. So is that something that's going to be improved?
Yeah, Mr. Spinola, I think before your time, when we were up the last time, that was one of the conditions. You can see these lines that I have drawn on the plan. Because we're tying into water, sewer, electric, it was a condition that we resurface this entire section of Elliott Street. And in doing so, we also construct a sidewalk right here in front of our site, reconstruct the sidewalk and the curbing. So we've got full construction for our entire frontage on Elliott Street.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Londo. Other board members? Okay, open to public.
If any members of the public would like to comment on this, please use the raise your hand icon and you'll be allowed to speak. 1, 2, 3, and I don't see any hands.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve with standard conditions.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Matt,
Yes.
Londo,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Tony, yes.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, site plan review, 117 North Main Street, JK Holmgren Engineering, Scott Farrier.
You again, Madam Chair. 117 North Main Street is a new residential property for Concord Square Development, Ted Carmen, his latest downtown project. I'm going to share my screen if I may, Madam Chair, and then I'm going to hope you can call Attorney Burke forward and let him earn some money for the evening again, Madam Chair, if we may.
Absolutely.
Never left.
There we go. Take it away, Attorney Burke.
All right, thank you, Madam Chairwoman and members of the Planning Board. Jim Burke, and I've had the pleasure of working on a number of projects that Scott has with Ted Carmen at Concord Square Planning and Development. And Ted has done some wonderful work in downtown Brockton. His conversions are excellent. The finished products are excellent. He looked at this site a while ago. It's Betsy Alden's family's factory. It's zoned industrial. It is basically an absolute property that can't be used for the purposes of which zoning currently restricts and regulates it. Zoning Board of Appeals recognized that. We went before them and secured a variance for a multi-building project. We then ran into some significant problems associated with the high interest rates and the impact on its ability to secure the appropriate developmental financing. We secured an extension of the agreement with Betsy and her family. We then went back and I think created a much better project. It's now 100 units with 125 parking spots. It was approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals. And we're in the process of hopefully beginning construction as soon as we can tie down the final aspects of financing. And Scott, do you want to go ahead and identify the difference in the site plan that we have now, maybe as compared to what it was before? And we'll go from there.
Sure. Thank you, Attorney Burke. As Attorney Burke said, folks, it's 100 units. The property, as you can see, is on the 3 different streets. We have frontage on North Main, North Montello. We have existing driveways off of North Main and North Montello. We also have frontage on Linden Street. So there's a pretty significant grade change from North Main Street to North Montello. So we have a driveway. And again, this went to tech review, and we really had a couple of good tech review meetings, primarily focused on the fire department and getting a parking layout that worked for the fire department, where this is going to be a 5-story building. They were really concerned that they could get their trucks in there, be able to drive them around, and to be able to service the building if needed. So in looking at that, we came up with a layout that kind of shows a main road that goes right through the middle of the property. A fire truck would be able to come in, even the tallest ladder truck that we have in the city would be able to come in, park right down in this area, and be able, with ladders and hoses, be able to reach all 5 stories of the building. So that caused us to have a couple of different iterations of the parking, but we've come up with a parking area, a parking scheme that works. As you can see, we've got extensive green areas proposed within the parking area itself. We do have a separate entrance off of Linden Street that's really going to be more of a delivery entrance. There's a space that'll be dedicated for delivery. The trash pickup will be on that side as well. And there'll be an entrance to the lower level of the building right over here for those deliveries to come in that way. The other, really from an engineering point of view, the biggest thing we get to do with all these developments, we've talked about it before. Right now, you've got a giant factory with a giant parking lot and no drainage. So really, everything is running in a hurry from North Main Street all the way to North Montello and getting out onto North Montello and really throwing a lot of water out there with the new stormwater regulations from the federal, from the state, and now from the city of Brockton. With this project, we get to now take care of that situation by
Nice.
proposing on-site drainage. So we have a couple of big subsurface drainage areas that handle the 100-year storm event. So there's essentially no water leaving our site during a storm event. Both the building and the parking lots both get drained into those infiltration areas. We went through extensive designs to make sure we have that taken care of. So we're pretty happy with that design. I think it's a win for everybody and certainly a win for this area of North Montello Street that we've got this giant parcel no longer dumping right out there uncontrolled. Everything else, as Attorney Burke said, we've met with the planning department a couple of times to kind of come up with a building layout that worked and that fit with what their vision was for these type of buildings as far as setbacks from the street, in having enlarged sidewalks for a kind of a walkable space in front of the buildings. So we think we've hit all of those keys that the planning department was looking for, Madam Chair. So that's really a quick rundown, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do you want to touch on about needing to come back to the board in regards to the stormwater?
So at last week's Stormwater Authority, Madam Chair, we received stormwater approval going through that new process that the city enacted and now is up and running just over the last 3 months. It was kind of in limbo for a few months, but February, March, in May, we've had stormwater meetings. They have their own consultant to review things, so we did receive stormwater approval at last Wednesday's meeting.
Okay, and it's kind of like a conditional approval because you'll have to come back once the building's removed.
I think that was a comment from the city engineer. And I don't know, we talked a little bit about it, Madam Chair. I'm gonna see if I can switch plans. Are we looking at a different plan now, Madam Chair? Or is it the same solid plan?
It's a different page.
Okay, perfect. The city engineer's concern, I'm gonna flip to the drainage, and this is kind of really getting into the weeds of the whole engineering design, but you can see this is the drainage area. And in order to design the drainage system, we need to do test pits to observe the soil conditions and the groundwater to make sure our design is appropriate. Because the existing building takes up this entire parking lot, the best we could do was to dig test pits right in this area here where my cursor is, close to, but not exactly over the existing drainage system. Obviously, with a building there, there's no way I can get test pits there. We would certainly be happy to dig confirmatory test pits and submit those to the planning department during construction, Madam Chair. Once the building is demolished, we could certainly do that. You know, I think with the Apex review, they were comfortable with it. You know, soils don't typically change all that much in 50 feet. So I don't know that it's gonna change things, but however you see fit to get past that comment. We were hoping that the Apex review and approval would suffice, but if we have that condition out there, we can certainly deal with it during construction.
I know Mr. May is juggling tonight. Are you on, Mr. May? Questions from the board?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I could. Scott, you were outlining the setback. It's been a while since I've looked at this plan. Has changed a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken, since
Correct.
I've seen it. But I am interested in the setback that you were recently just talking about here, what those setbacks are and what the green space that wraps around that corner is. And is this building going to be lit at night?
I knew that question was coming
You know
about the building being lit. So the first thing, I forget exactly where it is. I believe it's in your form-based code, and Evan could certainly correct me if I'm wrong. I believe in the form-based code, so I don't think
All right,
it's
so
elected
it's
yet.
meeting those standards anyways.
Exactly. So
Okay.
the requirement is on these main streets, North Main Street, Montello Street, the 3 or 4 main drags that we've got in the
Mhm.
city. We want, I believe it was a 12-foot setback from the curb line
Mhm.
to the building face, and that was to be a sidewalk. So we have a big sidewalk area from North Main Street for both the residents of the property and for just people passing up and down North Main Street. And
Mhm.
then on a side street such as Linden Street, it's a much less of a requirement, and we don't intend for that whole area to be a sidewalk. That area is going to be extensively landscaped, except for this concrete entrance right in this area. So really, all the way around from the walkway, all the way down Linden Street, except for this entrance, will be landscaped.
Mhm.
And then a lot of landscaping down in this area. We've got a small, as I said, the small parking area off of Linden Street. These trees right here are the existing trees. If you've gone down there, they've got a pretty nice little grass area that's fenced in back here with some picnic tables for the workers. And these are all the trees that we're gonna, because of the placement, and really we elected to build a small parking area here in order to save these 5 trees over here. They're pretty large trees, so we'll again have a extensive existing landscape area that we'll maintain around this parking area.
And the outside lights, that was a serious question.
Oh, I know, I know it was. I know, and I was serious about saying I knew it was coming. We have a lighting plan, but the lighting plan focuses more on the parking lot lights. The architects are aware of what you typically look for that we've shown you on other buildings, certainly in other buildings of this scope. They just weren't able to put something together, but we certainly intend on having the building lit with the up lighting like we've done on other buildings up and down Main Street, Mr. Sweeney. That is the intention.
What other building are you referring to?
The one we did for Marion's tuxedo shop in particular. I believe that's one.
Okay, sconce-like lighting
Yes,
around?
exactly. The sconce
Okay.
upward facing lighting that kind of sheds light on the brick facade, essentially.
I'd love to see Ted light up the crown of 93 Center, but that's a different issue. I digress, but thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, other board members?
I have some questions, Madam Chair.
Sure.
So Scott, are any of these required to be subsidized housing or low-income housing apartments?
Nope,
Yeah, no, they're all market rate.
all market rate.
All market rate, okay. And then as far as the layout that you've shown, I think this is a really good addition to that area, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
And that's it.
All right, thank you, Matt. Other board members?
Oh, one more thing, Scott, you've made this whole meeting really easy, and I appreciate that.
I really thought it was gonna be worse than what it is.
Attorney Burke gets paid by the word. I don't, so the less said, the better for me.
All right. Other board members? If not, open to public comment.
Any members of the public would like to speak, please use the raise your hand icon and we will allow you to do so. And I see one member. I'm going to, oh, looks like someone already grabbed her. Veronica Stevens, you should be unmuted. You should be able to speak now.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. And I don't want to indicate that I have anything wrong with the plan. I think it's a beautiful building. And I just want to comment on the stormwater meeting with Apex. I was present during that meeting, and the board voted to approve Apex meeting reviews, but have not received Apex reviews. They are in the process of receiving a brief for each development. I don't even know if they've had that yet. So whatever criteria might need to be done to satisfy Apex and or the city engineer, I think not releasing the criteria requirements ahead of time would behoove the city in regards to the stormwater program. And that is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. I like the building. I'm looking forward to it myself.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Do not see any other hands raised.
All right, is there a motion and consider the if there is a motion to approve, please consider the following conditions.
Motion to approve with standard conditions, plus the following conditions. The applicant must return to the planning board to verify and show evidence signed by a licensed engineer of test pit confirmation and proper stormwater review completion prior to any building permits beyond demolition permits being issued.
Just on the motion right there, this is site plan review. I would like to see a plan in place before we move with the approval of the next phase, but I'll second that motion.
All right, roll call. Matt,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Rolando,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Very
Thank you,
much.
Have a good night. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. All right, that concludes the agenda. With that said, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Yolando,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Tony, yes. Good night, all.